Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. The topic today is about doing less. Last time we talked about New Year's resolutions and New Year's intentions. What's the difference between a New Year's resolution and a New Year's intention? And I thought something useful to do perhaps is to talk about something that aligns with my intentions for the year. So one of the things that I hope to do this year is doing less. So this is one of the things that I intend to do is to try and scale back some of the extraneous things in my life. And I think it's a good topic. It's one that I think everybody can use. And what is extraneous in my life? What is something that I don't need to be working on? What are the things that are important to me, and what are the things that I should be focusing on? And I realized that last year, I personally spent a lot of time spinning my wheels on a lot of things that in the end weren't really aligned with what my highest intention is, what I hope to be accomplishing through the year. That I found that it was really easy to get distracted and to get carried away on various things. For example, getting into the technical side. How much do I want to spend learning about streaming software, learning about the technical aspect of my computer, like what about other streaming platforms, how do I etc. So something that someone who does live streams could easily get carried away with, that may not directly support what it is that I think is what I should be doing. And I think it's useful for all of us to kind of take a look at this. What was I doing yesterday? Something that I did that I thought was or that I looked at with that kind of mindfulness, with that kind of seeing things for how they are, was some spending time chatting in like WhatsApp groups or Facebook groups, or whatever group chats that I'm in. Like how much of what I'm contributing in those chats is useful, and how much time should I be spending on things like that. And I also spent a little bit of time. I think I wrote one or two things inside of Insight Timer, the Ryan's Daily Mindfulness Circle, and going, well, how much time should I spend on that too? And so, as we make room in our lives, as we do less things, it gives us space to be able to do other things that maybe support our highest intention a bit better. And so, I know that is something that I wanted to do, and it's something that I tried to work on last year, spending more time in Ryan's Daily Mindfulness Circle chat. So, and I think, really, before we consider adding more into our lives, and it's so easy to think about what more I can do. The one thing that we tend to forget to look at is, what is it that I can do less? And one of the quotes that I'm always reminded of is, I was learning tea ceremony. Speaking of doing more things, that may or may not be in service of our highest intention. And I think that there is something really valuable I got from the time I spent learning tea ceremony, and there's probably a lot more that I can get from it too. But of course, the question always is, prioritization. And so anyway, as we look around our living room, around our space in our house, and we look at an empty space, one of the things that we may think about is, well, what goes there? What can I put in that space? And we sometimes don't even consider the option of letting that space be empty and the beauty in emptiness. And I think that's it's just natural to want to fill things and to go, oh, if I'm not squeezing every bit of usefulness out of my time, then I'm not a useful, efficient person. And I think in that kind of effort, we end up filling our time with a lot of things that didn't need to be there in the first place. So, one of the things that, if I'm bored, what's the tendency when we're bored? Is that empty time is to fill it with something, right? I'm like, oh, I'm bored. Let me grab my phone and look through it. Let me, watch YouTube videos. Whatever your default is in times of boredom. And I think that's one of the things that we don't consider often is it okay to leave that space and to let that space be? Maybe instead of filling it with some doing, is it possible to instead just try being? Can I just be as I am right now without wanting to fill my time with something, and see what that's like and what happens as we go through this kind of contemplation? Maybe we'll have some revelation about what it is that's important, what is worth spending my limited, valuable time. None of us have forever to live on this planet. So every moment that we have is a precious moment. So sometimes it makes sense to let go and to spend some time just in being and seeing what comes up. And, mindfulness is part of that. This is an old habit I used to have, which I'm not as good at these days, but I suppose I'll be trying to do more. When I'm waiting for a friend to arrive, when I'm meeting a friend for an appointment, and I'm waiting for that friend to arrive, that friend's late, instead of trying to catch up on WhatsApps that seem important, or checking email or something like that, is it possible to just sit and wait and be mindful, pay attention to my breath, and drop into that present moment and be present and look at that time as a gift instead of trying to fill it with something? So welcome, everyone. So speaking of space and making time to be, let's begin our time in being mode and our time to practice mindfulness together. So I encourage you to get into a meditation posture that is supportive of your practice. If you've never meditated before or never practiced mindfulness before, choosing a posture that allows you to be awake, alert, yet relaxed. If you're sitting on a chair, I would encourage you to bring your back away from the backrest so that you're sitting with your own effort. Crown of the head towards the ceiling. Chin roughly parallel to the floor. Shoulders relaxed. See if you can let your shoulders just drop. Find a neutral place. The shoulders aren't too far forwards or too far back. Seeing if you can sit with your knees slightly below your hips, maybe having your hips a bit elevated so that this natural curve in your lumbar spine comes just like as if you were standing. that support for your back. And seeing if you can notice that you're breathing. How do you know that you're breathing? What are the physical signs of your breath? And for me, one of the easiest things for me to notice is the expansion and contraction of my abdomen. Can you feel your belly moving with each breath? And if you find it hard to follow the breath, you can always take your left hand and place it on your belly, your right hand on your chest. Just feel how the body gently moves as you breathe in and as you breathe out. See if you can concentrate on this feeling. Examine this feeling with curiosity. What does it feel like to breathe? Where can I notice my breath? Where is the beginning and the end of the sensation? Does the sensation in my abdomen carry around all the way to my lower back? Does it creep downwards toward the pelvis? I don't notice my legs moving as I'm breathing. So where does that sensation end? And maybe for you, you do feel the breath in the legs. There's no right way or wrong way to do this practice. As long as the intention is there, the intention to stay focused, to stay present. No matter what happens with the mind, if the mind disobeys, naughty mind wanders away from the breath. It's okay. Just gently guide the mind back. Observe the inhalation and the exhalation. Expanding as we breathe in, contracting as we breathe out. Notice how full the body becomes at the end of the inhalation. Notice that without exhaling, there's no more room to continue filling the body with air. To make space for that next breath, we must breathe out. So even our bodies, even our breath teach us this lesson. Filling on the inhale, emptying on the exhale. Where is your mind now? Are you still focused on the breath, or has it become filled with something else? See if you can gently let go if the mind had wandered. And come back to this gentle observation, the curiosity of examining the body as you breathe in, expanding, stretching, breathing out, collapsing, releasing. You're doing great. Just 3 more minutes to go. I'll stay silent for these next 3 minutes. Encourage you to keep your mind focused as best you can. Concentrate on the feeling of breathing. And I'll end practice with 3 rings of the bell. So our time is up. I'm going to ring the bell. Thanks for practicing with me. Thanks for being here today, and I hope that I hope this practice is useful. First of all, and second, one of the nice things about breathing is that you can see firsthand how emptiness is required before we fill anything. So thanks for being here. Thanks for practicing. And now's the time for chat interaction. And so the question I pose to you today is, what is it that I'm holding on to that I can let go of? So if there's as you examine your life, as you look at things that could potentially be not so serving of your highest intention, what is it that looks like it's something that maybe you can do a little bit less of? And I think the other interesting thing here is that there are a lot of things that as I've looked at it, I've gone through and said, like this thing feels really important right now. This feels like something that I need to be spending a lot of my time on. But, maybe it's not as important as I'm making it out to be right now. So, all right, I'm going to have a look at the chat. Thanks, Maria. Obrigado. Nice to see someone from nice to see someone from Portugal here. Thanks, Ren. Thank you, Joanne. Thanks, Sarah. This is my plan this year. I'm spending more time to slow down and be with myself. Thank you, Joanne, for sharing. So it's fun. This is that fun new feature I hadn't tried with. I just discovered last year with Insight Timer. Oh, in Brazil. Thank you, Maria. Thanks, Ren, for your donation. Thank you, Micah. As always, attempting to be consistent with my practice this year and look forward to practicing here. So, thank you, Micah. Me too. Being consistent with practice, that's what I find is that as my consistency with practice drops, so does a lot of stuff. That I still, what I like, I suppose, is that I still have memory, right? My body and mind still have memory of my practice. I still have self-awareness, but the self-awareness just isn't as strong if I'm not doing the practice in the way that I know I should be doing it. So consistent practice with the right amount with the amount of time that you know that you need, and honestly, that helps when it comes to creating emptiness. Helps to give that kind of clarity to know what's really serving me and what's not. I think, I might have mentioned on my last retreat, I think that was something that came clear, right? The things that are, and I think the nice thing about retreat is it's more evident on a grander scale. I can go, well, what purpose does my life serve in the first place? Answering some of these questions can really help us to understand what it is that we should be doing and what it is that we shouldn't be doing. And I think a lot of that comes through that space that's created by mindfulness practice. And we can have some intense practice sessions as well, or days of retreat that can be really supportive for that. So thanks all. Thank you so much, and I'll be back on Tuesday with Frank. You look so grumpy. I think Frank wants to eat some breakfast. So I'll get off to feeding Frank. Stop it. And then I'll get on with things and set up the next session, which will be this coming Tuesday at 5:10 a.m. Singapore time. So that might be Monday night for you, depending on if you're in the Western Hemisphere or in Europe. Yeah, in Western Europe. So let's do that one more time. Let's send our well wishes out. Repeat after me if you like. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. And may all sentient life on earth and throughout the universe May we all be happy and peaceful. Thanks, CC, for your donation. Thanks, everybody, for being here. See you next time. Bye-bye.